Hey guys, welcome back. So today we've got one of those stories that instantly grabs the internet by the throat. UFO files, government secrets, Apollo mission transcripts, alleged unexplained objects in space. And yes, the Trump administration is now releasing a new batch of declassified documents tied to what the government officially calls UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Basically, the modern Pentagon term for UFOs. Now look, whenever stories like this drop, people split into two camps almost immediately. One side says, finally, disclosure is happening. The other side says, come on, this is political theater. And honestly, both reactions tell us something important about America right now. Because this story is not really just about aliens. It's about trust. It's about government secrecy. And it's about the strange relationship between politics, national security, and public curiosity in the internet age. So let's unpack this thing. According to Fox News and multiple other reports, the administration released what it calls never-before-seen files and videos related to UAP encounters. The material includes Apollo-era transcripts, FBI photos, pilot reports, and military documents. One transcript from Apollo 17 describes astronauts seeing bright particles and jagged, angular fragments drifting outside the spacecraft. Now, immediately, social media exploded. People started zooming into grainy moon photos like it was the Zapruder film all over again. Reddit threads went into overdrive. UFO influencers claimed this was the beginning of full disclosure. Skeptics rolled their eyes and said, cool, more blurry dots in the sky. And honestly, the skeptics may have a point. Because if you actually read through what's been released so far, there's no smoking gun, no alien spacecraft parked in Nevada, no official confirmation of extraterrestrial life. Even former Pentagon investigators continue to say there's no evidence that aliens have visited Earth. But here's where it gets interesting. The real significance may not be whether aliens are real. The real significance is that the U.S. government is slowly changing its posture toward public transparency on classified aerospace phenomena. That's a massive shift. Remember, for decades, the standard government response to UFO discussions was basically ridicule. Pilots who reported strange sightings worried about damaging their careers. Military personnel often stayed quiet. Officials dismissed reports publicly while quietly investigating them privately. That contradiction created a perfect breeding ground for conspiracy theories. And once trust erodes, people start filling in the blanks themselves. What changed everything was the modern drone era and advanced sensor technology. Suddenly, military pilots started capturing objects behaving in strange ways on infrared cameras and radar systems. Congress began demanding answers. Intelligence agencies were forced to admit that some incidents genuinely remained unexplained. Now, unexplained does not mean extraterrestrial. That's the key distinction people keep skipping. An unexplained object could mean classified foreign technology. It could mean sensor glitches. It could mean atmospheric effects. Or yes, theoretically, something we don't understand yet. But governments hate uncertainty, especially in military airspace. And that's why this became a geopolitical issue, not just a science fiction issue. Think about it. If American fighter pilots encounter objects they can't identify near military zones, the Pentagon has to ask a terrifying question. Is this Chinese technology, Russian technology, or something else entirely? That's the real national security angle here. In fact, a lot of modern UAP investigations probably have more to do with surveillance fears than little green men. And politically, this is smart territory for Trump. Why? Because government transparency is emotionally powerful. Whether it's JFK files, Epstein documents, or UFO records, there's a huge audience that believes the federal government hides major truths from the public. Trump has consistently tapped into that distrust. So when his administration frames these releases as maximum transparency, it fits perfectly into a broader political narrative. The outsider president exposing hidden systems. Now, whether the releases actually contain meaningful revelations is another story. Historically, declassification events often disappoint people. Governments release massive document dumps, but the files are fragmented, heavily technical, partially redacted, or simply inconclusive. And honestly, that may happen again here. But psychologically, that almost doesn't matter. The UFO phenomenon has become something bigger than evidence. It's become cultural mythology, and you can see why. People are exhausted with institutions. Media trust is collapsing. Political polarization is everywhere. AI is reshaping reality online. Deepfakes blur truth and fiction. In a weird way, UFO stories scratch a very modern itch, the feeling that powerful systems know more than ordinary people. That's why this topic survives generation after generation. And here's another layer people forget. Space itself is becoming politically important again. This is happening during a new era of space competition. The US, China, and private companies are all racing into orbital infrastructure, moon missions, and military space capabilities. NASA is back in the spotlight. Space Force exists now. Satellite warfare is a real strategic concern. So when governments talk publicly about unidentified phenomena near military systems, people naturally connect it to broader fears about technological supremacy and hidden capabilities. In other words, UFO disclosure isn't just about aliens anymore. It's about power, control, technology, and who gets access to truth. And honestly, that may explain why the story resonates even with people who don't believe in extraterrestrials at all. Because deep down, this debate is about whether governments should monopolize information. Now, personally, I think we should keep expectations grounded. The odds that these files suddenly reveal definitive proof of alien civilizations? Extremely low. But the odds that they reveal how governments manage uncertainty, secrecy, and public perception? Much higher. And that alone makes this story fascinating. Because once governments admit they don't fully understand certain things, even occasionally, it changes the relationship between the state and the public. And maybe that's the biggest revelation here. Not that aliens exist, but that uncertainty exists, even inside the most powerful institutions on Earth. All right, guys, that's it for today. What do you think? Is this the beginning of genuine disclosure, or just another cycle of hype around blurry footage and classified mysteries? Either way, the conversation clearly isn't going away anytime soon. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.